William Henry Harrison's presidency ended because he refused to wear an overcoat at his inauguration. Zachary Taylor's ended because he ate too much fruit and milk in one sitting. Lincoln's ended because of some bad theater, and Roosevelt's, well, because of the polio. As we learned this week, there are many violently stupid and insensitive ways to bring down a president. We watched All the President's Men, and Olympus has fallen.
Oh, jeez. Hey, everyone. Welcome to Citizen Kane versus, where we compare a widely considered great movie with a movie that is widely considered to be more on the schlocky side and ask ourselves honestly, which is better? My name is Jack Rennie, and I'm joined by my two friends, Mr.
John Jacqueline.
and my other buddy.
Daniel Benoit.
Always nailing it as always. And this week, if you didn't catch it already, the connective tissue seems to be the fall of a presidency, if you would call it that. Oh my goodness.
Which I didn't really even get until like halfway through All the President's Men. I had like a light bulb moment. I was like, this is a perfect. I can't believe it. I get it now. Both these movies are about bringing down the government. I get it.
So did you spend all of the week until you watched the film being like, what the fuck is Sean talking about? Why are we watching these two movies?
You know,
I didn't.
I didn't
Honestly,
give it a second thought. I didn't think about it at all.
I just trusted you that it would make sense in the end. But I've never seen All the President's Men, and you know I'm not very familiar with it, but familiar with the content.
Yeah.
Of course.
See, I had seen All the President's Men, and I remembered it being a lot more fun than it was. To be honest, I just spent the entire week really looking forward to watching Olympus Has Fallen because it looked like a really fun movie, and then it started, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, I think I have to issue the first ever Citizen Kane versus apology, because I really thought that what is considered a classic, but I knew was kind of like a boring movie in All the President's Men, might be brought down to the same level of some like high octane action thriller adventure.
Yeah, I really expected Olympus Has Fallen because they've made two more of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I thought it was going to be like at least a well-made action movie. And holy shit.
I also just want to note that they're making 3 more.
No.
No.
And they're planning TV spin-offs in America and also all over the world where they're gonna have it just done in the mother tongue of whatever country they're in. They're making it like a global franchise.
That makes me so sad.
So there'll be like a Beijing Has Fallen and stuff.
Yeah, I guess. Or just the lead hero will be a guy from Beijing. And it'll be like America Has Fallen, and it's just a bunch of people celebrating.
Oh my God. The rest of the world celebrating.
It's just everybody else up in arms, cheering.
Well, great. Yeah, I mean, I guess to a number of people in foreign countries who maybe don't love the United States, watching this movie for like the good part of it, where it's just like the Americans being decimated and their White House being destroyed, I imagine some people enjoy that quite a bit.
Happy fun time.
But I also couldn't help but picture every American watching this movie just like loving it from head to toe the entire time, because yes, America's getting attacked,
a demographic.
It is like the most American movie I've ever seen in my life.
It was 4th of July, baby.
When it was in the movie?
Yesterday, when I watched it, at least.
Yeah, that's true. Actually,
that's true. I watched. Normally, what I'll do is I'll watch the classic movie first and then the B movie second, because I have a feeling the classic movie is gonna be denser and I'll need like a cool down.
Right.
But I was so excited to get to Olympus Has Fallen that I jumped into that first, knowing that because I'd seen All the President's Men, so I was like, I remembered it being fun. And not fun, but I remembered it being enjoyable. So I was like, oh, I don't need to cool down. I can just dive into it. And then I started it last night at like 10 p.m.
Whoopsie.
And whoopsie indeed. Whoopsie indeed. It was.
I mean, as we were talking about this, like just before we got on, I started All the President's Men at like 10 o'clock this morning,
Oof.
which is like not much better. It's not like it's not a morning movie.
No, this is like a middle of the day, like peak
Middle of the
energy
day.
levels.
Yeah. It's on TBS. There's commercial. They've cut a lot out of the movie so they can fit it into a 2.5
You've had some
hour.
coffee. You've done some cocaine.
Yeah, yeah.
You're like ready to pay attention to something.
Yeah, commercial breaks are like key in this movie. It is oof.
But Danny boy,
Yeah.
while we're on it, can you give us the summary as best you can of what Olympus Has Fallen is? What it is.
What it is. So I'll say what it is about, and I'll air quotes it because it was kind of a meandering mess. But essentially, Gerard Butler plays a Secret Service agent named Mike Banning, who is removed from his post as like head of the presidential detail after a car accident on a bridge when the president is on his way to a fundraiser, and the car spins out on an icy bridge and essentially like runs off a cliff or off a bridge, sorry. And Mike Banning is only able to save the president and allows his wife to fall to her death. So 18 months later, we learn that he's been moved to a desk job in the Treasury, which it's made very clear that he hates it. He can't stand it. He needs to be back in the field. And I think we see about one scene where we like learn about his new position. And then during a meeting between the president and the prime minister of South Korea, a group of North Korean terrorists called the Koreans for United Freedom, I think is what it's called.
People's United Front of North Korean Unity Project. Yeah.
Something like that. They stage the most elaborate and complex terrorist attack known to man, and essentially take the White House and take out all of its personnel and its military defense. And Mike Banning is in a nearby coffee shop. So the movie then becomes about his mission to save the president and stop the North Koreans from detonating every nuclear bomb that the Americans have. And that's kind of it. That's kind of the entire movie. And then we just watched Gerard Butler stab a bunch of people in the brain.
Like Save America. And he's able to see the attack happen from his place of work.
Yeah.
Well, that's only because the North Koreans have hijacked a fighter jet, a single fighter jet that takes
cargo plane.
Like a cargo
plane
outfitted with miniguns.
And I also and it's able to take out every plane in the air and also like and stage the first attack on the White House. I also love the fact that we'll get into it.
But yeah, so it becomes Gerard Butler is the lone man who can save the president who's being held hostage in the presidential bunker.
Yeah.
It is, and like literally that's it. Like that's the entire movie. Morgan Freeman is there as he's the Speaker of the House.
Yeah. Yeah,
right.
And the eventual standing president.
Yeah, the acting president.
And we also have Aaron Eckhart, who plays a very, very meek and spineless President Benjamin Asher.
Yeah.
And also his son Connor is a terrible actor, but we'll talk about that after.
Yeah. And George Butler's boss at the Treasury,
Angela
Bassett.
Oh
yeah.
Right, yeah.
Just not being given anything to do.
Well, I feel like the producers of this film must have some kind of compromat on all of these actors to force them to be a part of this franchise.
They have money, which I actually wasn't sure. I wasn't sure how much money they had based on the at times awful CGI in this movie.
Yeah. At times.
Yeah.
I mean, there was some moments where the backgrounds looked realistic, I guess. But that first car accident on the bridge,
oof.
Yeah, that hurt. That hurt every bone in my body.
It's very rough. The CGI in All the President's Men is way better for sure.
Yeah, I'll say so.
And I was amazed at how much there was.
Yeah.
I know. I didn't think that they would do the entire like reporting, like their journalism, like the floor, where they're all like typing stuff.
Green
All
screen,
green
yeah.
screen. I didn't expect it.
George
Amazing.
Lucas was a heavy influence on
It's really nice to see that Wolf of Wall Street was able to use that set again.
yeah,
30
they
years
kept
later.
They kept it in bubble wrap just for that movie.
Jesus.
So the other movie, All the President's Men, is it's a journalistic movie. Well, Sean, you have an idea of this. It's about the Watergate and Nixon and stuff. So
Yeah, well, it in particular details. It's based on a book that our protagonists Bob Woodward and Carl Bernstein wrote about their involvement in the Washington Post's investigation into what seemed like just a bizarre burglary at the Democratic National Convention building, the Watergate building, and how through meticulous, detailed, grueling investigative journalism and a little bit of sweet talking that these two journalists managed to chip away at the conspiracy that was behind the break-in and the larger political motivations of, as it turns out, every single person involved in the president's re-election campaign in order to try and keep him in the White House. And yeah, they face adversity from within the Washington Post. There's a lot of journalists within the Post who think that politically it's very dangerous for them to be covering the story, especially when a lot of the sources are unnamed. And after watching the film and realizing that it was written by our two protagonists and then starring the producer of the film as well, you have to take in a few grains of salt as to where the sunshine lies in the film and where the darkness lies in the film. But yeah, so it's a very detailed, meticulous movie about journalism.
Ooh, we're talking calling people.
Yeah.
We're talking getting calls back from people. We're talking scheduling meetings. This movie has everything.
And to top it all off, a lot of people offering our reporters coffee.
Yep.
Hey, would you like some coffee?
Hey, you want some coffee? Hey, you want some coffee? What I love, my favorite part was when Dustin
Seems
Hoffman...
thin is my favorite line from that.
My favorite part was when Dustin Hoffman is trying to work his way into the one of the people's houses, and he just like pokes his head in the door and is like, "Hey, can I just steal one of your cigarettes?" And just like barges in.
I love it. I love it. I love this film. I know. I loved it.
Did you honestly love it?
I did. I was more intrigued than I ever remember being the first couple times I've watched this film, mostly because I think I was focusing on it a lot more. It is very easy to get sidetracked watching this film if you're not making sure you're focusing on it. I did lose focus at around the hour 40 mark.
Yeah, same.
But and at that point, as soon as you lose focus once and you lose a name, then you have no idea of the chain of people that they're going through in order to arrive ultimately where they arrive. So you just are kind of there for the ride once you've lost detail. Yeah. And I did, by the end, I was like, oh shit, I don't really know how they got to where they went.
But see,
yeah, that's the thing. And the names, keeping track of the names is like impossible. You can't.
But I found the same thing, and when I was watching it with Maurice last night, I made the same comment. I was like, I have no idea who the fuck anybody is at this point. And I like the fact that he had that interaction with Deep Throat at the end, where Deep Throat is just like, stop following these individual people. You have to look at the bigger picture.
Right.
And Maurice's point was like, well, that's what's good about these older movies is you actually go on the journey with the reporters, right? So the reporters they're getting kind of lost in all these names and this huge kind of web of people, but in reality it really is just about the bigger picture, which ends up having nothing to really do with each individual person. It's literally the entire government. Yeah. Right?
So you're like, what about Pacelli or whatever? And he's like, Sigeti. Paschetti. Spinelli. They're like, what about Spinelli? And he's like, yo, no one gives a shit about Spinelli. like look at the whole thing. And so it's true though. That is like a nice part of it.
Mm-hmm. And I found William Goldman is the screenwriter for this, and he was one of the most like prolific and sought after screenwriters of the like 60s through 90s. If you look at his Wikipedia page, it's all the movies and books that you love. And he's got this really great humanity element in this normally boring detail movie where at the end of a scene where you've had so much information to process and you're trying to put everything together, there'll just be a moment like when they go to that one guy whose wife has just had the baby, and they're grilling him and he's nervous, and it ends like the tension breaks with them being like, "You're a father now, oh congratulations, oh that's great." And
Yeah.
I was saying that's very similar to what like the Marvel universe tries to do in breaking tension with humor, but it actually like furthers the characters rather than just being a pandery way to get out of a scene.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. I enjoyed, in particular, Robert Redford
Mm-hmm.
in this movie. I think it really helped carry it along. I've seen some similar movies like this genre, like the big breaking story movie,
Mm-hmm.
and for how not it doesn't never manages to be quite monotonous, but like definitely repetitive at times. I feel like we go through the same cycle, and I think that's a bit of what you're saying too, that it's like you're going through the experience that they're going through.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that it's fun. But I was still carried through with their performances and those little human moments. And yeah, someone cut me off.
Here we go. There were a couple of saving graces like those moments you're talking about, but one of my notes that I have circled here is it's like somebody took this story from the book and decided to make no attempt to dramatize it in any way. It was just like, we're going to take this and just do it verbatim, page by page, and not try to add any like cinematic element whatsoever, which made it like the fact that there's maybe 3 times in this movie where you actually hear any kind of music or soundtrack and the rest is just like aggressive, obnoxious typing is like good to create the environment of the office, but also made me want to pull my own teeth out with my toes.
I'm gonna defend the screenplay here, in that it is a screenplay that, yes, it has its faults for lacking drama in certain points, but every single scene has an obstacle that is clearly delineated from the start of the scene, and every single character in that scene is trying to get over that obstacle to achieve something, whether it's just like get a little bit of information.
Yeah, it's always get information.
Yeah, so
it's always
and the obstacles not only come from the other characters, but there was one scene where he's trying to listen to something and he's writing and he's fighting with the phone, but at the same time there's like a birthday party happening in the background and he has to like bend down and get closer, and it really, I loved how just like nitty gritty the obstacles were in every single scene.
Yeah, okay, I get that. I understand. Yeah, I mean there were.
But in real life, it was probably more just like, hi, it's Bob. I'm friendly. I think, okay, thank you. And then he wrote for 6 hours.
Yeah. I guess what I mean is there could have been a lot more to kind of help the audience stay engaged. It seemed like they tried to play it very close to how this would realistically go, and real life does not always make the most interesting or engaging film, right?
Yeah.
Like some music would have helped, some other moments of like actual tension would have helped. Like obstacles are fine, but the only real moment where I was like, oh, what's happening here was when Robert Redford thought that he was being followed for that moment. And he had that brief kind of turnaround scene. I was like, oh, now we're getting somewhere. And then
the stakes drop in at the 2-hour mark.
Yeah.
When finally Deep Throat, their contact, is like, your lives could be in danger, and you're like, oh, okay.
And then the movie ends.
And then the movie's over.
And then the movie ends with them just like working still. Like, fuck this.
I will also say that their boss's speech on the lawn at the end of the movie was like the best.
Yeah.
The best. He's like, if you don't do this, I'm going to be angry. I was like, great.
Well, fuck. Yeah, the only thing riding on it is the First Amendment of the Constitution, the freedom of the press, and the rights of every single person in the country.
There it is.
Yeah, so that's all that's riding on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you mess up again, I'm gonna be angry though. Yeah, it's also one of the sad things too of this movie that like there's a lot of great moments and there are some great characters and some great performances. It's like it's just that unfortunate like that's what history was. That it's like a
Yeah.
bunch of white dudes fighting with each other for power still is kind of like the baseline of this movie. Um,
Yeah, there's a
like
pullback shot of the newsroom, and it's all white-haired old fat guys.
yeah,
Yeah.
they had a
Deciding the
couple
news.
black guys in there.
Yeah,
And they had one
Um,
woman. They had the one woman who helped them get the lead on. Was it Mitchell?
yeah, that they called a slut,
Yeah.
essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That sounds about right. Was she one of the
Hey.
reporters, or was she just
yeah.
like?
She worked for the paper.
Yeah.
She was also a reporter. Yeah, it's yeah. So it unfortunately doesn't, withstand that kind of the test of time in terms of social issues. But that's the movie.
But
It's made in the
it's-
70s about politics in the 70s or whatever. Like it's a
Yeah,
So
it's not about standing up to the test of time. It's about literally like giving a snapshot of that particular moment in history, right?
yeah, exactly. I overall, and again, this isn't clear. I actually did enjoy this movie. I think I had a bit of a not like a bias, but like an itch that needed to be scratched. I know the rough, like the rough sketch of Watergate.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like it all happened well before we were born, right? So we
Mhm.
only like you hear about it a lot and it's referenced a lot. I was actually kind of eager to get a bit more actual detail about it. I was like
Yeah.
no one I had never heard that Watergate, that name comes from, that was the Watergate building, which is where like the National Committee, the Democrat committee, like their thing, like
Their
their offices
headquarters, right?
were.
Yeah.
Yeah, the headquarters. Like I never knew. I was like I know what Watergate is, but I don't know why the fuck it's called Watergate.
Yeah.
So just like little things like that, I was like, I would actually love to have this information fleshed out a bit. Then,
Yeah.
but the repetitive asking questions and getting nothing stuff is like, okay, but I want the information though. I know they're struggling, but please.
Yeah.
But I think that it would be like in 4 years, someone will make a movie about the corruption in the presidency right now, and we're all gonna watch it and be like, yes, oh, I remember every single one of those details. That's how it lined up. Interesting. But 40 years from now, someone watching that movie is gonna be like, why do I care that Paul Manafort got indicted by the Southern District of New York? Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, and then his lawyer, Cohen, what?
Yeah.
Who's this character?
There are too many characters in this drama.
The lawyer is involved? And it's like, yes, everyone is involved.
All the president's men.
All of the president.
Oh my God, you just blew my mind, Sean.
Yeah.
Also, correct me if I'm wrong. All of the news footage that they were playing on the TVs, that was actual footage, right? That was like from the actual event.
Yeah.
That was a nice little touch. I like that.
Also, we mentioned the music, that there wasn't that much of it. An odd connection to a previous movie. It's Mr. David Shire once more, the same guy who did the music for Saturday Night Fever. So
Oh.
Was it really?
if you heard some of the similarities there, that's why. That's why, like those movies, they sound similar sonically.
Yeah. That's funny.
Mm.
I was also wondering how much money. McDonald's gave whatever studio this was for the two scenes where they're just schlubbed over eating French fries.
Were they in McDonald's?
Yeah, were
Yeah.
they? Oh, they were?
I couldn't
Yeah.
tell.
Yeah, I had no idea.
I thought that they were just in like some some random burger
Yeah.
shop. I didn't know.
Yeah, they had
McDonald's.
the golden arches on the cups.
Oh well, it's funny because
I'd never noticed.
I was wondering the same thing about Ritz because the very first and like one of the very few product placement things is when Robert Redford is in his bedroom or his office or something, and there's just like a box of Ritz crackers sitting on his night table.
I am always so confused about like product placement in that regard. Like I get the base thing behind it, but how like Ritz crackers gets involved with this movie being like, yeah, if we could have Mr. Redford eating the crackers. Okay, this is about like Nixon's Watergate scandal. Yeah. We think Ritz really fits into this movie. Like I'm always confused how that gets decided.
Well, Ritz is the cracker of personal freedom.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Duh.
Duh, idiot.
Oh man.
I mean, they also just knew the movie was going to make a ton of money, so they were like, "Hey, let's show us."
Yeah, exactly. There's going to
Yeah.
be an audience. There's going to be people watching it. That's all that matters.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not going to lie, it made me want a cracker.
Robert
And-
Redford can sell product, you know.
He could sell ice to an Eskimo. Also, speaking of things that this
God.
is that an inappropriate comment?
Mildly.
We'll cut this part out. We'll cut it out. We'll cut it out.
Everything stays, Dan.
Ooh, well then I'm not going to be a part of next week's podcast.
Cancel Daniel.
Don't make that a thing, dude. I will also say that speaking of what this movie made me want, I have never wanted a cigarette more than this movie.
Oh yeah,
Watching Dustin Hoffman, like I smoked for like 10 years, and never do I want a smoke more than when I'm watching a movie or watching like someone on TV smoke. And the fact that Dustin Hoffman has a cigarette in his hand in like literally every scene,
All the time, yeah.
all the time, to the point where Robert Redford comments on it, is like, "Is there ever a moment that you're not smoking?" And I was just like, please give me one. I just want one.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm suspicious of moments like that, like the moments that you talked about, Sean. There's another fun moment too that Robert Redford, Dustin Hoffman, like they're working on something, and he throws him a cookie, and they're mid conversation, and Robert Redford just goes, "I don't want a cookie," and then keeps talking, and that's it.
Yeah.
Like, I think you just had two really good actors,
Okay.
and I think they improvised stuff. That built in the humanity sometimes in this movie that I don't think was in the script.
Okay.
I don't think "I don't want a cookie" was in the script. I don't think "Is there ever a time you're not smoking?" I am just suspicious.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm speculating right now.
They were like the two, quote unquote best actors of the year in
Right.
that time. Al Pacino was considered for Hoffman's role. Robert Redford wanted.
Right, I
Pacino,
read that.
and he was like, Dustin Hoffman's probably better.
But you said cigarettes, though, what you wanted. I wanted Robert Redford's suit.
Oh my God, I wanted him to burn that suit, that beige thing with the bell bottoms.
Oh, it was great.
It's nice.
It was
man.
an eyesore. It hurt. It hurt.
Disagree.
My face.
I would love to be able to rock that suit. I hope that I could.
Yeah, I think it has a lot to do with the hair color. Redford and that like blondie auburn thing really like it completes the look. Daniel, I think you wearing a beige corduroy
wouldn't play.
Flare bottomed. Not so.
No.
No, but I would rock Dustin Hoffman's like shaggy mullet.
Yes.
Any day of the week.
Yeah.
That is.
Sure you would.
I think I'm learning that I just want to be Dustin Hoffman in this movie.
Yeah,
I want to smoke. I want shaggy hair. I want to kind of like bounce around when I walk.
You want to be 2 feet shorter and 100 pounds lighter.
And have it, yeah, exactly. And have like weird teeth, but still be really charming.
And open every conversation with a female about how hot they are.
Yeah, that was a weird.
That was
a weird way to start that scene with zero context.
Yeah.
The scene where the plane flies over twice.
And she has to scream over it. Yeah.
I loved it. I don't know why that happened. Why did that happen?
I don't know why
because they couldn't afford a second take. That's why that happened.
I have a feeling that it's like where they were is probably one of those like restaurants that all the politicians and all the like elite people of Washington go to, and they know it's on the flight path. So by putting it into the movie, it's them being like, see how detailed we are?
Yeah, maybe.
I actually think it was just. I think it was a budgetary thing. I think they didn't have that good of equipment, and they were shooting on film. That's what I think happened.
Fair enough. Why would you shoot at that bar? I don't know.
Well, every time they were outside, it happened. When Dustin Hoffman had the scene with the guy on the bench, it was the same thing. It wasn't airplanes, but it was all the traffic noise that was literally drowning out their audio or their dialogue. Yeah.
And then the footsteps when he's having his like, am I being followed moment, the footsteps were put in post and
didn't line up with his feet.
Didn't line up with the movements at all. And then they have that like, is it an orchestral sting when he like turns around? Yeah.
See, that kind of thing I can excuse in like Citizen Kane, but we're in the 70s now. There is no excuses.
Right.
It was nice to see though in those the because this movie didn't make a ton of strong choices with its cinematography.
Mhm.
But it did some stuff that I thought was kind of interesting, kind of cool, like when it's that same scene where Dustin Hoffman just kind of like pushes his way into that woman's house by asking for a cigarette and all that stuff.
Mhm.
But that the woman is like standing, she's obscured from vision, like how they would obscure people's faces sometimes.
Mhm.
That she was behind like the banister, and it was like the camera was only looking at them between that divide until she came over and joined the room with him. But the one that stands out is like just like wow, he would go to see his informant Deep Throat in the parking garage, and it's like the real strong change into like the underbelly kind of
Yeah.
vibe. And I was pleased to be like, okay, I'm so glad I've finally seen the movie that like pop culture has been making fun of and paying homage to for years, where it's like it's the shady like just eyes view of a man in a trench coat being like smoking in the dark, being like, so what do you think like it was
Tell me,
satisfying to see the like get to the core
Yeah.
of a pop culture reference like that.
And we learn in this film that Deep Throat was Batman the whole time.
Yeah.
When he disappears into the night in that one.
Yeah.
What my favorite thing with Deep Throat
Why?
was the fact that the entire movie he's like, I can't tell you what's going on. We have to do this my way. I can only give you clues. And then at the end, Robert Redford is just like, fuck off. I don't want to do this stupid shit
Yeah.
anymore. Just tell me. And he's like, fine.
He's like he's literally like, take out your notebook.
Yeah.
I got like a bunch more stuff to
I
tell
have
you.
so many details.
Yeah, I'm just gonna tell you everything now. So get your notebook out. What a weird, like if that person in real life, like if that's actually what it was like, how weird is that? Like saying things like, I know we do this my way. I can't make it clear for you, but I can guide you. Did that guy then go home and then just be like, oh my God, I can't believe I
Well,
feel so cool right now.
but they know who Deep Throat was, right? He was like the lead or the head of the FBI or something, wasn't he?
He came out publicly about a decade ago. I don't think he was the head of the FBI or CIA, but he was like one of the deputy chiefs of something. I believe.
Right. So he was high up. So like to a certain degree, in case his identity was ever actually revealed, he had to be super vague about about the details he was giving, right?
Yeah.
But also
I
there
think-
was the element of him being like, I'm the coolest person on the planet right now.
Yeah, I think there's like a little bit of a feedback loop from in like the espionage world that like comes back into the CIA from watching James Bond movies, where they also want to do it in a James Bond cool way, and they like don't want to admit that most of their job is like just like looking through data forms and stuff.
Paperwork.
Yeah.
Paperwork and all that jazz.
I also
So-
loved that that they discovered the lens split diopter shot in this movie.
What is that?
Do you guys didn't notice all the times that they had where like the foreground and the background were both in focus simultaneously?
Oh, yeah.
That was like the shot of choice in through this entire movie.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the lens split diopter shots, of course. Yeah.
So
I forgot.
Yeah.
in case you guys were wondering what that was called, that's what that's called.
I knew that already. So
I thought you might.
yeah. I don't know. It's one of those things like this. It's a good weird movie. I don't know why it manages to make like boring work fairly interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know. They don't do any great leaps in terms of how it's shot or what. It's just, I don't know. Dan, you seem to be the one who like disagrees with this the most, and I'm curious what you're thinking.
Well, it was like
You watched it like approaching midnight, so that's harder.
but I'd seen it once before, and I remembered it being easier to follow than it was when I was already kind of falling asleep. But again, like we've talked about the fact that it's so repetitive, and the work is so meticulous and so detailed that it doesn't feel like the movie is really moving. It feels like we're crawling through the story.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So like it's like the information when you get it is interesting, but to actually get there feels like a slog. So I don't know that I'd agree that they found a way of making dense material interesting. I think that they just happen to have the benefit of like having interesting material that they didn't really present in a very interesting way.
I know the Washington Post had a fair amount of like sway when they were negotiating the rights to represent the Post in the movie. So the editor, who was the guy in the film, the editor-in-chief, he had a lot of negotiations with them, and he wanted to make sure that the script reflected how detailed and meticulous and just like grueling the work is before he'd sign off on whatever they wanted to do. Right. So I think in order to like make the movie, they had to be like, okay, we're showing journalism as a series of minuscule events
where they like got a build up to a conversation, and then the person goes, oh yeah, I know Mitchell, and they go, anything else? And they go, that's all I want to say. And we're like, oh my god.
Although they do kind of tease at the fact that they're doing that when they have that one woman who they think they finally found the lead, and who works for the what is it? Works for Creep? Or is it Creep? That
they think she works for? Real president. Yeah. Creep.
And and she's giving them all this information, and they think they're onto a lead, and suddenly they're like, so how long have you worked for Creep? And she's like, oh no, I work for a bakery. And it's like, oh fuck.
Like, Jocelyn Johnson? Oh no, I'm Angela Johnson.
Yeah, exactly. And they're like, god damn it.
Like, but we came in for coffee. Yeah. That's our thing.
Yeah.
No. I feel like they were having coffee at all times of day as well.
Yeah.
Well, Dustin Hoffman even makes a comment. He's like, you'd be all jacked up too if you were on 20 cups of coffee.
He's like, I was keeping her talking for 6 hours. You know, I was writing notes in the bathroom and shit. I was like stealing matchbooks and writing stuff.
Pulling out napkins and like bits of snotty tissue that he scribbled notes down on. I love that.
Yeah. But I could never tell when these things were happening. So I thought like they were having coffee at like 11 p.m. I guess I can't imagine doing that. And then he goes to see Spaghetti or whatever the guy's name is, and I assume it's nighttime again, because I guess it's like after people have finished their day job or whatever, and then they go outside and it's like middle of the day, and I'm like, okay, it doesn't really matter, but how much coffee are these people drinking?
Yeah.
Any final words before we throw it away to a loving sponsor?
I'd recommend this movie if you want essentially a documentary about the Watergate investigation that's like slightly more animated than a documentary, but that's kind of what it is.
God bless America.
Oh, that'll lead us into the next one. Perfect. And now a word from our sponsors. Hey everyone. I wanted to take a week off from the silly commercials to remind everyone that every night across the continent, there are still thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people taking the streets in an attempt to highlight the injustice that is leveled upon certain communities in our countries. They need our help. The news has decided that the stories, unless it involves mass violence, aren't worthy of coverage, and they need supplies, they need bail funds, and they need help. So I'm just using this time to urge everyone, if you have the ability to in these hard times, to please donate to an organization that you've researched, and know that the money you give to them will eventually make its way to the protesters on the street. If you don't have that ability, look up local protests in your own neighborhoods. Partake, go onto the street yourself, wear a mask, protect yourself, but join the demonstrations. They need all the help they can get. Thanks, and fuck cable news, and let's take money away from cops.
All right, welcome back. We've talked about All the President's Men, I think, as much as we can. Even talking about it feels like we're recreating the tedium of that movie, if I'm being honest. So I want to talk about the other movie, Olympus Has Fallen, because I had like 3 notes that I made about All the President's Men. I have like 25 things that I wrote down about Olympus Has Fallen.
I have 4 pages.
Wow. Wow.
Mostly because it gets to a point. So when I watched this film last night, I watched it at the same time you were watching All the President's Men, Daniel.
Great.
So
I could feel that. I could feel it, Sean.
Yeah. So it started and I went,
I'm gonna have a beer with this. I think this movie's gonna go down a lot easier with a beer. So I crack a beer and I go, I think I have to just drink another beer in order to get through the rest of this film. And I think I did 4 beers in the process of this film. This film drove me to drink, and at a certain point, I stopped taking critical notes and just wrote down angry things.
About Olympus Has Fallen. Yeah.
About Olympus Has Fallen.
We should find a way to post Sean's full list of notes.
It'll be in the
fact.
manifesto. It'll be in the manifesto.
I honestly think that this segment should just be Sean reading every note in his book. And
Oh,
Jack and I can
man.
just sit back and...
I have.
Oh, no, I want in. All
Yeah.
right. There's no way I'm being left out of this.
So that's how I felt.
I loved this movie. I don't know. No, I thought this movie was hot garbage. I didn't know. I was so disappointed because, like I said before, I was so looking forward to this being one of our movies because it's kind of been on my radar for a while. I've always been like, I love Gerard Butler is always a fun person to watch. Morgan Freeman, you know what I mean? Like, the recipe
You'd
is
think.
right. The recipe is right for it to be a watchable film. But from the very first line in that like insanely intense sparring scene between Gerard Butler, like they are sparring in a way that I've never seen sparring happen before. They're throwing full body blows and hooks and like no protective headgear, nothing at all.
They're not like practicing combinations or anything.
No, they're
literally
fighting.
just taking turns like beating the shit out of each other.
Yeah, they're just boxing. They're boxing in a miniature ring in the president's basement.
It's supposed to show that they're best friends. They're best friends. He works for him. It's great.
That's true. That's true. And that was evident by the dialogue. The dialogue it felt like it was written by a 4-year-old. Trying to rope a dope old man? That's an old man's move. Well, I'm an old man. And I was like, kill me now. It was the worst.
That's like literally, you're bringing that up as your first point. That's like arguably the best scene in the movie. Like it gets worse and worse and worse. Like this is definitely one of the movies that like tricks you the first 10 minutes. You're like, okay, but you're setting up to do your movie thing though, right? And it never gets there. It is a complete like shit show. So I just want to address this movie. I kind of hinted at this earlier. I don't consider it to really be an action movie. This is a genre that I call the death fetish genre.
Yeah.
Where it's not about the action in the same way that like a John Wick is about the action. This is about watching people die. And being totally cool with it. At one point, I just wrote down, I was like, about Gerard Butler's character being like, our hero, the remorseless killer. Like
Horrible.
No, completely fine, unfazed all the time with rampant murder.
Well, again, the point I made earlier is that his move of choice is to literally stab people in the brain. That's his preferred method of killing people, to the point where he even says it in one of his death threats to the leader of the Korean terrorists. He's like, I'm gonna come and stab you in the brain.
I stab you in the head.
My note for that is, it was at the threat of sticking a knife through his brain that I lost all respect for Gerard Butler as an actor.
That was the point where you lost respect for him as an actor?
There was some redeeming quality, some je ne sais quoi that I was watching through the film, and then no.
Have you seen Gods of Egypt, where he plays an Egyptian god with like the thickest Scottish accent I've ever heard in my life?
We're gonna do that movie for sure, though.
I've been racking my brain trying to think of what to compare it to because I love that movie
Cleopatra.
so much. But yeah, we'll move on. Oh, Cleopatra.
That's racist, Sean. Come on. And you also hinted at earlier that like this movie has some of the worst CGI that I've ever seen. Like truly, truly terrible. Like it looks like an old B movie. Like it looks, I don't know. It looks like an old video game or something. Like
which doubled down on me being like, this is going to be a great fit. for all the president's men. It's going to have these poorly done action scenes that are at least cheesy and we can get in on. It's going to have your noble protagonist who, makes an ultimate sacrifice at the climax of the film. The dialogue's going to be cheesy. Oh, we're a great film to pair up with.
I know.
No,
I really
not.
thought you had nailed it. And
I wasn't convinced when you gave it last week. I was like, I don't. I need to be won over here, and I wasn't. You're never allowed to choose a comparison again, Sean.
Damn it!
It's full of so many cliches.
Yeah.
Like stuff I have written down of like the very first incident of the president's wife dying, and like just a shot of Aaron Eckhart being like, no, and then like a bunch of slow-mo looks. There's a scene where someone does something and Gerard Butler just goes, or like someone to someone goes, hey, thanks.
Yeah.
Who's writing this movie? Like, what's happening? It's full of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's a very paint by numbers American action movie.
My favorite moment, like you're describing there, Jack, is General Clegg is informed of the situation, and he says, "Where's the president?"
Yeah.
"He's in the bunker, sir," and he just goes, "Fucking shit."
Yeah.
Oh man.
You couldn't write a line for someone who is supposed to be one of the top respected military minds of your nation that is better than fucking shit. You can do more than 3 syllables.
Fuck it. Yep, he's commands armies, that guy. There were some things in this movie that I really loved to hate, I have to say.
Mm-hmm.
Their use, what would you call this, Dan? Like having like not subtitles, but like, for instance, there's like the first scene where he's the president's in the White House and he's talking with his staff, and
Oh,
it's
they
like
have like the title cards of each person.
yeah, like just being like, it's like, oh, you're just wait, you can just do that? I didn't know you could just do that. Just like have a little like, this is his character is, and that's totally normal. But even more than that, I want to get into this because I want to make sure we talk about it. My favorite part of this movie is their insistence on letting us know what time it is throughout the events.
Mm-hmm.
They do, I mean, I should have been counting, I didn't know, but they did, I think, like at least 15 little title cards of just being like 12:30, 12:45, 1:05 a.m. Did you not notice this, Dan?
I didn't even notice that.
I didn't notice
catch
that
that
at
at all.
Oh, guys, you missed out on the best part of the movie.
It
At a
sounds
certain
like
point,
it. It sounds like it.
my eyes just glazed over, and I was just receiving light information from a vague source across the room.
It was so incessant and so random and didn't help us in any way. And then like they kept doing it, and then suddenly they jumped to it being like 4:30, and Kang, the antagonist, is like, time's up. And I was like, but I didn't see it get, last I heard it was 2:30. Like, what are you talking about? And so like my girlfriend and I, our ongoing joke is that something would happen and he would kill someone, and we'd be like, no, but what time is it though? Like, I need the important details. Like, if I could know, is this at 1:43? Like, it's very funny. I'm sorry you guys missed that. Anyone who at home watching, when you for sure watch Olympus Has Fallen after listening to this.
I mean, I would, if you're looking for a bad B movie that you can talk through and make fun of the entire way, I would say this is not a bad one to go with.
No, this is a wholly offensive film. I will never let this grace any screen that I am in the room with, so long as I have a choice. Only the United States has the audacity to sell other countries their propaganda films. It's just the most.
That's a good point.
Bellicose, fucking America. He's lining up the guns on the desk, and the message of the entire scene is guns are the only solution to this problem. And and that's the movie in general. Apparently, machine guns, which also don't do what machine guns do in this film. Oh man, this fucking movie, guys.
Can we also just for a second talk about how incredibly intricate the initial attack on the White House is? Because there's like hundreds of people involved coming from all areas of the city. Like, never have I heard of a terrorist attack being so fucking elaborate. It was insane. They have like garbage trucks that are like blowing up tires to get into the bunker. They have people who have hijacked planes. They have like hundreds of people with machine guns. It was absolutely insane.
And not only that, they have Hydra 6 military technology.
Which was just a turret gun, right?
Yeah, it was a turret gun that I guess swiveled fast. Good. I also enjoy, so we have Alpha 6 technology. Alpha 6 technology. Oh, it's next wave military. And then they also have their Cerberus code. And it's just these nonsense gobbledygook word that these writers threw in to make it seem interesting.
The Cerberus code thing was such a fucking disaster, man. I thought it was so ridiculous. And the fact that at every turn the president's like, just give them your code. It doesn't matter. They'll never get mine. Just give them your code. They'll never get mine. And then like they don't even show the moment where they break the code or get the code from
just like a computer is like
hacked it. I'm now realizing, was there a deeper layer in the writing that I didn't pick up on? Because it's called Olympus Has Fallen, and there's the Greek, obviously meaning of Olympus, and then there's the Hydra is mentioned, and there's Cerberus is mentioned. These are all trials of Hercules or something like that, or maybe not Cerberus, but like
Cerberus is
and the Hydra is like were they trying to do some Herculean trials?
Yeah, this is Gerard Butler's Hercules series. Oh my god. Oh,
I love how
this ruined Sean's day.
I love how much pain Sean is in right now.
Was that it? Like, I feel like that was intentional. They're trying to do some sort of
fuck this film.
It's so stupid. The Hydra is so dumb. The Cerberus whole nonsense. Okay, so if anyone hasn't seen this movie, the Cerberus code is what the Koreans are. That's what they're trying to get. So they've kidnapped the president and his other heads of state, and they're holding them in the bunker, and they're like torturing them one by one. And the president, being a terrible president, is telling them to give their codes up like an idiot. And what we've heard so far is that like, the Cerberus code is all three of these top heads of state enter their codes, and it deactivates any nuke, even if it's in flight. And that's like the fail safe if they need to do that. We then find out at the end of the movie that it's not just to deactivate the codes or deactivate the nukes, it detonates them. So the United States has intentionally made a system where all nukes in the United States can be detonated at once, which is the most idiotic thing and reckless thing that totally tracks. And I would believe if the United States had it. I was like, it detonates them? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, of course. It's a fail-safe in case they accidentally launch one at Iran.
In case they launch all of them?
Yeah.
Like, holy fuck. And Aaron Eckhart's moves as the president are, like you said, Dan, like, it's just spineless.
Well, I
it's
mean,
unbelievable.
What moves does he make? He doesn't do anything except
surrender constantly.
Surrender constantly.
He doesn't even make the choice of what tie to wear his own. He forces that on his son. Fucking monster.
Oh, is that right before he offers to go get ice cream in the 3 free minutes he has?
Yep. And then reneges on that agreement immediately.
Well, because you have to show that he is a negligent father. Which I thought was that the line of that was awful. Hey, I've got 3 minutes. Let's go get some ice cream. What flavor do you want? Chocolate or Rocky Road? Well, not Rocky Road like last time. You ate all of it or whatever.
Yeah, before you finish it all.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, he's without a wife, guys. He doesn't know how to do this domestic stuff.
Doesn't. Look.
Oh, poor Aaron Eckhart.
He lost his wife, so he has to protect the rest of his family. I just feel like I misunderstood what like patriotism, especially American patriotism, was about. It's like, die for your country.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's like the racism where it's like, because it's not about their country, it's whether or not they're going to save South Korea. Like that's the crux that they're like willing to do it. Go ahead. Sorry.
Name another action film that is good that involves 96% of all characters on screen dying.
Oh my
John
God,
Wick.
yeah.
John Wick. Okay, sure, yeah.
But it's true. and then
Everybody dies.
they still make quips about it.
Yeah. And then the president has the audacity to come out at the end and give impassioned speeches about destroying evil wherever it may be and reinforcing American freedom across the evil planet.
The biggest laugh I got in this movie, I didn't even laugh. I think I was just like, what the fuck? Was at the very end, and Gerard Butler is escorting him out of the front doors of the White House, and it's them coming out the front doors, and Gerard Butler goes, "Sorry about the house," and then Aaron Eckhart says something like,
"Don't worry, I think it's insured."
It's something like that, and they're like, they have a little smile, like, haha, and then it cuts to a shot of them walking out, and they're surrounded by dead bodies, surrounded by dead Americans who fought to protect him, and he's like, yeah, it needed renovations anyway. Bleh.
Yeah, I want to know whether the Secret Service is livid at this film for portraying their members as these idiotic peons who run directly into machine gun fire with their pistols out.
Well, literally every level of the military or like protective service of the government was a fucking dumpster fire in this film.
Yeah,
how
in real life?
Right, sure, but how is it that it's a known fact that it takes the military 15 minutes to get to the White House when it's under attack? How is that a thing?
That's because the screenwriter is a hack and didn't want to do any actual research. Sorry, screenwriters. I have revenge planned for a bit later once we're here from these fucking screenwriters. But
okay.
And that was the moment that Sean lost his mind, everybody. That's what that was just there.
Yeah, that manifesto joke from before apparently was
Jesus.
not a joke.
It's not physical. I don't take the message of this film.
You're right though. The quote unquote action of this movie is a garbage fire. It is truly shots of the Koreans just running open on the front lawn, just shooting. Like there's no real tactics. It's just shoot more. And that apparently works. And truly, the Secret Service is running out the front doors of the White House into active machine gun fire. No one's taking cover. No one's falling back and fortifying. It literally like running out like lemmings.
And and there's a lot of, oh, my buddy's down, I better go back and get him, and then just like getting mowed down in trying to save your friend. Because that's what apparently Americans should do.
Well, I mean, so I don't know if you guys listen to much Joe Rogan, but he has a whole bit in one of his old specials where he talks about the fact that somebody actually was able to invade the White House with just he had a gun and a knife, and he was able to storm the front door of the White House and get like all the way into almost the Oval Office because the only person who was defending the building was like a female security guard at the front door. Just standing in front of an unlocked door of the White House. Like apparently the security of that building is actually terrible, like non-existent.
I bet it's better now after that incident.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
That wasn't that long ago.
Much.
That was during like Bush Jr. or something, right?
I think it was during Obama.
Oh, Obama?
I think it was during Obama. Yeah, I think so.
Oh, the other day we had a guy break in or run onto the grounds of Justin Trudeau's house with heavy rifles and knives and shit.
Yep.
I didn't hear about that. What happened?
We'll talk later.
Yeah. He was safely talked down by police. Amazing.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Double standard.
Oh, wow. Let's talk some more about how awful the security is at the White House.
but like the thing is like that's why I said that like action clearly was not the focus of this movie because it's never clear. Even there's like a fight scene in some hallways and they just like pointlessly have the lights flickering on and off so you can't tell what's happening. They set things up like having Gerard Butler showing all his guns on the desk. Then on the end, like someone knocks a gun out of his hand. I'm like, you had 6 guns earlier. Shoot him with one of your other guns. Like it's all broken and bad.
Yeah, it's all a mess.
I like when he literally kills a man with Abraham Lincoln.
What?
There's the bust of Abraham Lincoln on the Resolute desk.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Picks it up and he murders him with freedom.
I liked the amount of times that somebody got up from the ground and then revealed the blade of a knife before attacking. Like the classic like switchblade reveal. I think there's probably about 5 of those in this movie. And and a double knife reveal by the
Yeah.
lead villain at the very end.
That he loses in a second and a half.
Yeah, I thought he was gonna
Yeah.
do the Batman thing and just kick him.
Which he does eventually.
He does.
Also, can we talk quickly about the fact that the reveal moment that Korean guy is the bad guy is just him removing his glasses? Can we talk about that for a second?
Okay. Not only that, but like literally they're like, who is this guy? And then they finally find out. It's like, oh, it's one of the most wanted men in the world. And I'm like, you don't know who the
Yeah,
who
like
this
you've never
person
seen his
is?
face. Didn't he have to go through some kind of security when walking into the White House?
Part of their plan is that literally everyone that the Korean prime minister came with were all working for this front. Somehow the entirety of his detail was this terrorist organization. That's what the premise of their takeover is built on.
And the really great, not terrible screenwriters explain that by saying, well, you don't look for your enemy within your own government. So,
yeah. Well, fuck me.
You know what? I missed that part. I actually take back everything I said about this movie.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
Yeah. It was an inside job. Wait, what are they saying?
They're saying that, South Korea, of course, wouldn't look within their own government for terrorists.
It's still just completely nuts.
Yeah. And I just want to take note of the fact that there was a record number of just like straight up headshot executions in this movie, to the point where you had to wonder if the writers had any other idea about how people might die in a terrorist attack.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The amount of time that literally just somebody would stand over a body and shoot someone in the head, or put someone on screen and shoot them in the head, or just like, I don't know, randomly shoot them in the head. It was insane. It felt like they were trying to be John Wick, but like far more poorly planned and racist.
Yeah, and Die Hard. They really
wanted to be Die Hard. Oh my god.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. There are so many things in this movie that baffled me, including stuff like that, like why they had to show the plane at the beginning gunning down hundreds of civilians, or why that was even part of the attack. Like, I don't understand why the Koreans would have done that.
That also didn't. Okay, first of all, the two guys who were manning that plane reminded me a lot of the twins from The Matrix 2. Did you notice that they moved their heads in unison and had the sunglasses and looked a lot like robots?
I was wondering where I remembered that from. Good eye.
Thank you. But also, I was confused by that because we see this plane, which I think takes out like 2 other fighter jets in the air before moving on.
And then with machine guns.
And then we have this scene where we see like 10 other American fighter jets take off into the air, and they just never show up. They just never show up to the White House. And this one lone plane is allowed to like make it all the way to the front lawn of the White House before the jets get there. And I'm wondering, anyways, I guess it's just more to the point of
plot had to happen.
But as a strategy, like, plot had to happen, but it doesn't make sense in terms of the plot.
No.
Like, really, their plan should have begun with the guys blowing up the fence and then infiltrating the White House. Why would you alert people ahead of time? Unless it's just to create some chaos.
Yeah.
Maybe, but like, it's a mess. The weirdest part of like their plan that I thought didn't make any sense as well was when they, at the end, they put bags over a bunch of everyone's heads, and they try to make it seem like the president is involved, and they take him out of the White House onto a helicopter, like they're going to leave, and then they blow up the helicopter. And this is just after they made the call to pull the troops off out of the DMZ and take away the 7th Fleet or whatever out of the Japanese Sea or whatever. And it's like, cool, but if you just killed the president, then all those troops go back. Then like, cool, like there goes your negotiating. But also the negotiating part of this movie, like literally they think about like this weird reverence for the president, and yet they all directly disobey the last order he gives them, which is don't negotiate. Like technically everyone in that command room would be committing treason, would they not be?
Absolutely. Yeah, disrespecting the last orders of the president. I guess at that point you're saying that Morgan Freeman's character is the acting president. Where was the vice president, by the way?
He was the Mike Pence dude that they predicted.
Yeah, he was in there. He was in the bunker with them.
He was in the bunker.
And he gets pegged in the back of the head?
Yes,
Does
he
he?
does.
Oh, right.
Executed
Yeah.
on screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's for those exact reasons that the vice president generally doesn't do the exact same thing that the president does every day, because then you have someone not elected to be president being your president.
Whoopsie.
I also didn't clue into the fact that that this movie happened like 6 years before Mike Pence took the
Yeah.
position
Yeah.
of, because that is like a dead-on lookalike of
Like
Mike Pence.
spitting image.
Yeah.
It is Mike Pence, I think.
And I spent
Yeah.
the whole movie being like, wow, they really nailed the Mike Pence character here. And then
2013.
Oh, was it 2013?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
wow.
So we're 2 years away from even having to acknowledge Mike Pence exists.
I still don't
God.
acknowledge it. So
Yeah, it's true. That's true. I'm gonna give props to Dylan McDermott. I think he's my actor of the movie.
Was that the sergeant? Was that
That was
Oh,
the
no.
evil Secret Service guy who
the guy from the campaign.
the guy from
Yeah.
the campaign
Yeah.
who was clearly the bad guy from the very first shot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
like
he's never a good guy.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. He was like kind of the good guy in the campaign.
Yeah, and but like he was kind of right. His whole thing to the president was like, "Oh yeah, you're just taking campaign contributions and you don't represent the people and blah blah blah." Like obviously, don't get involved with international terrorism if you have socioeconomic gripe. Take the streets, protest peacefully.
Preach.
But like he is right, and fuck that president.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck that president. Fuck that president. He was the worst part of this whole movie.
But the logic of like, you sold out this country, therefore I'm going to help destroy this entire country, and like what would also be Canada. It would also destroy all of Canada, which no one cared about.
I mean, not big. Well, no, yeah. Not that
But
big.
he is more enjoyable. I hear you.
Yeah, I was a little sad when he got wasted so quick. I thought he was going to be along for the ride a bit more. Like the deception he was playing, it would have been nice if Gerard Butler hadn't figured it out immediately with his massive super brain. That maybe he'd been duped for a few scenes until Dylan McDermott pulls a fast one on him.
Also,
that's kind of what I wanted to.
Also, that cliche moment of him accidentally dropping the name of the villain, and that's how Gerard Butler knows. I wanted to break my television.
Yeah.
It was fucking so frustrating. And also, I was annoyed that he turned good, or he was okay with having his last act be a good one. Like he had done so much. Oh, we're running out of time here. He had done so much to like destroy his country, and then he has like a 2-minute interaction and fight scene with Gerard Butler, and then suddenly he's like, "Okay, I'm back on your side. Let's do this." You know what I mean?
And how does Gerard Butler thank him for coming around?
Oh, he stabs him in the brain.
A nice stab in the brain. Thank you for your service, sir.
Directly in the brain.
Hey, he told him that's what he was going to do. Oh no, not him. He told the ultimate terrorist what he was going to do.
But it's one of those things where it's like you can survive a gunshot.
Yeah.
Like he wasn't necessarily going to die. Like Gerard Butler made the choice to be like, "Hey, thanks for that." But
But you still have to die because
you're not in the
America.
script anymore.
Right.
So
And this is what Americans do to people who wrong us.
Brain stab.
Will you two indulge me in a bit of petty revenge against one of the screenwriters of this film?
It really depends on what you have in mind there, Sean, because you're starting to worry me.
Well, okay, so it's very silly. So the two writers are a couple, or were a couple. The man is named Creighton D. Rothenberger, and his then wife was Katrine Benedict. And they are responsible for this film, for London Has Fallen, and for Expendables 3. They recently have divorced. My theory is because Creighton is just a douchebag based on his writing and his beliefs of America. And I have found Creighton's attempt to get his marriage status changed on IMDb, a thread of him trying to make that happen. So I'm just going to read Creighton here. Multiple times I've tried to correct my marriage info, but it still does not display correctly. I have just submitted again. Could you please correct my divorce date and delete marriage mention in my mini bio as well? Thank you, Creighton Rothenberger. To which Ed, helpful Ed, replies, removing data from a bio is not allowed, but correcting it is. Was married to Katrine Benedict. And Creighton responds, I do not understand why my old marriage information has to be included in my bio. This marriage is no longer valid and is no longer relevant to my bio. I've never seen anyone else have their former marriage be included in their bio. To which Ed responds with multiple examples, very snarkily supplied, of other pages where recent and ex-marriages are included in bios.
I love that.
And he highlights certain sections and like points to things, and he ends that message with, hope that clears that up. Cheers. Happy face, Ed.
Okay, now Sean, let me just...
To which...
Yeah? No, go ahead. To which?
To which Creighton responds, but that's not in the section marked bio. That's in the section marked spouse. That's all I'm asking for. Mine to mirror hers. And so he then drops in excerpts from other actors' bios, including Elizabeth Taylor, Lee Marvin, and Sandra Locke, who all have their former marriages listed in their bio pages. And then he finishes that one up saying, I said there are thousands of marriage details in the bios. How many do you want me to point out? You have marriage details to correct. Clint Eastwood is called a serial philandering megastar in his, and you don't see him asking for a deletion. Facts are facts. IMDb does not remove facts. Creighton responds with more bullshit, and Ed is just like, you can write your own bio and put that in instead. So write a long bio. I know you are at no loss for words. LOL, smiley face. Great work, by the way, on the Fallen series. Cheers.
Just this movie snob just tearing this guy a new one.
That's hilarious. Man. Also, I have a question. Did you just have that queued up, Sean, or did you?
Yeah,
you just you were ready to.
I found it in my research, and I'd already, based on this movie, decided that this writer has to be a d-bag, and then I just found the proof of his interaction with some poor guy at IMDb.
Oh my god, that's really funny.
Who outwitted him at every message.
And that's a petty thing, though. To be like, can you try? I'm trying to erase this marriage. It's like, but you were married, so.
And this is where we state facts about your life.
I'll point out that it looks like Katrine Benedict is the only writer on Angel Has Fallen, the most recent one. So it looks like he lost the Has Fallen in the divorce.
Oh boy.
Oh no. I wonder if it's a way better movie though.
Sounds like he's no longer valid.
Yeah.
It sounds like he has fallen, if you know what I mean.
Boom.
All right, moving on. I think, we've spent a lot of time tearing this movie apart. We should maybe take a minute to talk about the good things that we liked about this film.
Did you guys notice what the character... I just that was good talk.
Yeah.
Good. Can we all just quickly also double check that we all got the same character motivation as I did?
For
Gerard Butler?
He feels guilty and he needs to save the president to get rid of his guilt.
His motivation is that he wants his job back.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's the thing that is bogging our character down. It's not, he doesn't say to Angela Bassett, I just want to make it right with him. He's like, I'm missing the action. I'm going crazy here. Literally, terrorism is a cure to his boredom. And at the end of the movie, he has his exciting job back. That's the arc.
It's not his boredom. It's in his blood to defend his country, Jack. Because he's so fucking American. That's his motivation.
Yeah, that's it.
Remember when the flag fell so artfully from the flagpole?
And the sky is blood red for some reason for 3 seconds?
Yeah. You mean where they throw it off the roof?
Yep.
With the Korean guards who apparently are not on vigilant patrol in any way.
No. These crack killers.
These crack killers, they're good. They're trained, but they're also bum ba bum.
Yeah, also that's a good point. Where the fuck do all those Koreans go once the attack on the White House is done? Then there's just like a few that are peppered in the building. Do they all just like go home? Is their shift over?
No, they die.
They meander around the perimeter, not like shooting the shit and putting on hats in a silly way.
Sorry. And then Gerard Butler comes in and kills most of them. Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
Correct.
Okay.
And a
I
bunch of
forgot.
the other ones are blown up on the decoy helicopter.
I honestly had no idea who was dying or who was killing who. I just knew
No.
that Gerard Butler was a hero.
Generally, the people that die in this film are the ones that are not Americans.
Although a
And-
lot of Americans also died.
Sure, but they were valiant
yeah.
deaths in the name of freedom and democracy. And
Of course.
and all the dirty people from other countries are the bad guys.
Guns don't kill people, folks.
No.
Like, come on.
Terrorists kill people.
Yeah, and Americans apparently in this movie also.
Uh,
Anyone with a gun. This movie was truly terrible.
Don't watch this film. Don't ever watch this film. Don't give any of your money to these people. They're bad people. All of them.
It's awful.
I mean, I would say if you're looking for a good drinking game movie or like a background noise movie, also don't watch this film.
And with that, I'll send it off to our fine sponsor. No, you'll send it off to our fine sponsors.
Send
I
it off
will
to the fine
send it off.
sponsor.
And now a word from our fine sponsors.
Nice.
Thanks.
Hey everyone, I'm going to add on to my friend Sean's sentiments from before and just say, if you're confused or feeling threatened by anything happening with the protest right now, just know that you really do have nothing to lose and you have so much to gain in just listening to Black voices, hearing what they have to say, and just giving them the benefit of the doubt that they are telling the truth. Really, it's important. Give it a try.
All right, and welcome back. So we've hashed these movies out. I have a feeling now, as we come to our final scoring, it's going to swing one way. So how this works is that we have 5 categories. They have looks, sounds, acting, story, and then a 5th category that we kind of call rewatchability, enjoyability. Like if you had to watch one of these movies again, which one would you watch? So, and then it's just a question of which one did it better. And the movie that comes out with 3 or more categories, that's the one we declare the Citizen Kane of the week. So let's start with looks. We talked about how good the CGI was in Olympus Has Fallen. But if I'm being really honest, actually, now that we talk about it, All the President's Men really doesn't do much with its film work. Like, it's essentially just people on the phone.
Mhm.
That I am kind of more confused about this one now.
I knew this would happen, and I'm so excited. Here we go. Okay.
I'm.
It's
do you want to
happening.
go, or do
It's
you
happening.
want me to? Do you want me
Go
to?
ahead, please,
Yeah.
because I'm more undecided than I thought I was.
I understand where you're coming from, Jack.
Yeah.
But I think when we have a movie that is filmed in a very basic way, like All the President's Men is, and it's up against a movie that has no basic understanding of anything to do with filmmaking at all.
Yeah.
Ooh, I disagree.
All the President's Men gets the point. Just because
Sean,
they put
Sean?
a camera on the thing we needed to look at, and I looked at that thing, and I got information, and that's all apparently this week needed to win.
Sean, you have to make sure that you are doing this objectively and not letting your bias cloud your judgment per category.
Olympus Has Fallen looked like crap. It was awful. There was no focus. There was no nuance. There was no art. There was no like vision in any of the shots.
All right. So Dan, counterpoint. I'm the middleman on this category this time.
Oh,
Although-
my counterpoint is it was obvious that even if it was a cliched mess, Olympus Has Fallen just had a higher budget and looked better visually. There's no contest. It had better cinematography. It had better shot choices. It had explosions. It had color grading.
You're killing me.
I'm sorry, man, but it's true. I mean, if we're talking about which movie looked better, it has to go to Olympus Has Fallen.
Because sometimes I think about this category of like, if you watch the movie with the sound off, which would be more interesting? But I gotta be honest, Dan, even still, I don't know if Olympus Has Fallen. Like
I think you guys are fucking bullshitting me here.
No, it has.
Backgrounds are awesome in All the President's Men. What's happening in the background, if you just want to look at it as like something that is happening without sound, then yes, there's the boring forefront that usually gets really close, but like in the background, there's cool shit going on.
Give me one example of what you mean.
The birthday party in the background of The Office. That's one thing.
Give me a second example.
I think it's still something political that's happening. But I think my criticism actually for Olympus Has Fallen is that it has the budget to do a lot, and it makes a bunch of stupid choices. Like there's never a moment that I'm like, whoa, they really used their CGI to blow me away with something. It's like all this effort for trash.
I mean, maybe, but at least the effort was made to make something look cool, as opposed to just pointing a camera at a character. Like, we're talking about
pointing a camera at the world's greatest actors at the time and letting them do what they need to
and
do.
What was Olympus Has Fallen doing? Morgan Freeman, Gerard Butler, Aaron Eckhart, the kid who played Connor.
Jack, I think you just got to make a decision.
The guy who said fucking shit.
Dylan
McDermott. We're talking about a who's who of acting, man.
I'm sorry. This is probably going to simplify this whole process, but what I'm thinking about it, I still give it to Prez. This Olympus Has Fallen is. It's not like Clash of the Titans, which I didn't enjoy as much, but those visuals were astounding. This was not that to me.
Okay, well, you're both dead to me. Moving on.
Point to the president.
Point to Prez.
Great,
sound.
point to Prez. I bet you're both going to tell me that the sound design in President's Men is better than Olympus Has Fallen too, right?
Yep.
I don't know how.
The
No,
incessant
I don't know.
typewriting and the airplanes and the traffic noise and the no soundtrack. That's all gonna. Oh, great. Okay, Sean, you're not allowed to do this anymore. No, you're not allowed to vote on movies you choose. That's not.
One of my only notes for All the President's Men was regarding the opening sudden typewriting sounds, and I was like, "Oh, fuck off with the typewriter."
Yeah. And then
that was the only time in the movie
well.
that I accepted it. That was the only time in the film where I was like, "Oh, you're using it to make a cinematic choice for a unique intro." Great.
Not just showing us typing.
Yeah, not just
showing us the climax of the film in typing.
Oh my god, I couldn't believe that.
All right, so how are we? Where are we going with this?
I just don't. Neither of these movies, to me, are even gradable in terms of sound design or music or like. One is just pew pew bang, and one is clickety clack ring ring. Like it's just I don't know what to say about them.
I will say that maybe this falls. No, I guess that falls more into the acting, but again, it's a quality over quantity thing for me. And yes, those typewriter sounds were annoying, but also we come back to my eternal frustration of having to ride the volume like it's the only thing I can do during the film, and the pewdy scenes being at a billion and the talking is all whispering for some reason. So in enjoyability, I have to just give it to the film that just like did a thing.
But it's not enjoyability. It's there were entire scenes in President's Men where I couldn't even hear what the people were saying because the typing was so loud. If you're gonna say quality over quantity, then we have to talk about the actual quality of the audio recording in the fucking movie, Sean. We had entire sections of this conversation where we're talking about.
I do have to give points. I have to give points to Olympus Has Fallen for the scene in the cafe between Gerard Butler and Angela Bassett, where they clearly just got like generic cafe ambiance sound and played it over top of the scene. So points for that. That was well done, team.
But I hear a butt coming.
Oh, I was just making fun of it.
Okay.
It's that thing again. Sometimes I think about this when I'm not sure. I'll think about this category of like if I could just listen to one of the movies. Like they're both kind of horrendous to listen to. And the music in Olympus Has Fallen is like a special low point for me because it's all like heroic America propaganda music, which I find really unpalatable. But
there's also whole
what is there in All the
sequences-
President's Men?
There's actually like almost entire scenes or shots where there's literally no sound, where we're just watching them walk the entire length of an office.
Yeah.
With nothing but what seems like way too loud of a fucking typewriter in the background.
I
dropped my pen. I'm so angry.
And like, oh my God, I don't know.
Think it comes down to you again, Jack?
I think I don't know if I'm just trying to be fair or not, but I think also when I'm really thinking about All the President's Men and the music in it, I think I somehow give it to Olympus, but like the most begrudging.
Yes.
Because
Come to the dark side.
I'm gonna be, because you guys screwed me over with this as well. I'm gonna maybe do it back. Where like All the President's Men had some rough ADR moments that really did stick out to me, that at least Olympus didn't have. So on that one quality, Olympus gets it.
Okay.
I'm so disappointed.
Here
We
go.
are tied.
And don't get me wrong, I am in no way in favor of this movie.
It's so bad.
It was hot fucking garbage. But I'm so desperate for the B movie to win just 1 week. I need this podcast to have some validity. So
I thought this would be the week, but Gerard Butler let me down. I mean, we'll see. Maybe it will.
He's not a very good actor. Has anyone noticed that it always seems like it hurts his face to talk?
Yeah.
I liked his pouting.
Yeah.
That's me doing my Gerard Butler. For those who can't see what I'm doing, I'm just like clenching my jaw and shifting everything in my face to the left.
It's really effective, actually. Well, speaking of acting, this one's a clear win for Olympus.
Yeah, that's obvious, right?
I mean, Morgan Freeman read his lines off of a sheet of paper.
And got angry once.
Yeah.
There's nothing like hearing Morgan Freeman talk about increasing military presence in the Korean Peninsula. It's great.
I like the part where Morgan Freeman, the actor, leaned back and said, "Can I get some coffee? 2 cream, no sugar." And then they just kept that blooper in the movie. I thought that was great.
Yeah, that was so random.
It's the best part of the whole movie.
But it made me want a cup of coffee, if you know what I mean.
So you are, of course, joking, right?
I'm, of course, joking. This one is only President's Men.
Yeah,
it's like well acted.
Well, I mean, it was the only movie that had actual acting in it.
Oh, man. Poor Aaron Eckhart. He was like going to be a star, and then...
He was Two-Face. He did some things.
Yeah, but what happened after that?
He did.
And then he did this.
He did
Holy
Frankenstein.
That,
all right.
That is going to be on the list. I'm writing that down. Story.
One, there is a story, and the other, there is a series of patriotic explosions and knifings.
I would say both stories are not exceptionally robust. I would argue that President's Men is a story about a story.
Yeah.
But it's not like a meaty story. I mean, again, Olympus Has Fallen is just a big racist mess, but you know.
But you know.
But in defense of that racist mess.
But you know, Morgan Freeman is there.
Yeah.
And
Dylan McDermott is there.
So, Dan, is your vote in this one for Olympus Has Fallen?
No, it's not for Olympus Has Fallen.
Like, is that what you're doing right now?
No, fucking. I wish. You know what? Me voting for Olympus Has Fallen in this movie, in this category, would be like Sean voting for Olympus Has Fallen or President's Men in audio. That's what that is.
Right.
I don't know about that.
Oh, eat shit, Sean.
All right,
So is that 3 for presidents?
Oh yeah, I mean
3. So
Yeah.
but if you had to, which one are you going to show to your kids first? Is my interpretation of this question this week.
That's not a fair way to spin that.
Yeah.
That's not a fair way to do
Yeah,
that.
we're not talking about kids. If oh my god, if I had to, because like Dan, you had seen All the President's Men before. I had
Yes.
never seen it, so at least I had like an original viewing experience,
Right.
which I had for both of these movies, to be clear.
I mean, what I will say is, having watched Presidents already, I was excited to watch it again. I had fond memories of the movie. That being said, I hated it the second time. So I think as much of a hot mess as Olympus is and continues to be, it could play in the background while I do my dishes. I think I'm going for Olympus on this one.
You're back. See, I don't watch movies in the background, so I don't have that same kind of like.
Well, I'm never
That's-
putting on
yeah.
either one of these movies again to sit down and actually watch.
Yeah, no, and that's kind of what I
Never.
was going to get to, is that I really like, I don't plan on watching All the President's Men ever again. But I definitely like, I will actively stop people from watching Olympus Has Fallen.
Yeah.
Like that's how far down it is for me.
I will.
Okay.
I will never have that movie on in my presence again.
Just remember, you chose it, Sean.
I know. I'm the most disappointed out of all of them. I had such high hopes, and I should have chosen White House Down. I was a toss-up.
Oh, that would have been fun.
But Olympus Has Fallen had a slightly lower rating overall, and I thought, okay, so that means maybe it's going to be schlockier, maybe it'll be cheesier. No, it's just
It's,
yeah, no, I'm of course All the President's Men. Yeah.
So that's 4. Is that 4-1?
4-1.
4-1. A clocking.
All right. Well, I guess I'm fucking thwarted again this week. Thanks, guys. Great. Well, then I guess all that's left is to declare it. Let's can we get a drum roll, please? Jack. No, I mean announce the winner. I'm not.
Declare the winner.
I'm not doing it. I
And the
refuse.
winner is clearly All the President's Men by a small landslide.
Making it our Citizen Kane of the week.
Yeah.
Yay! Everyone clap. Everyone clap for it. This is bullshit.
Big claps. Big claps.
There's
One
a bee.
one of these weeks, Jack, I know it's your turn to pick this week, man. Please have a B movie that is worth watching so we can give it a fighting chance.
I think, okay, so I'm going to announce our movies for next week.
And
Yes.
just so anybody listening knows, each one of us gets we take turns picking the 2 films to compare each week. So last week, in case it wasn't clear, it was Sean's choice, and he's no longer allowed to play this game. And so
I'll be replaced by a guest star in future episodes.
exactly.
Yeah.
So and this week it's Jack. So what is it, Jack?
I'm gonna offer what this is. This was co-pitched by my girlfriend Miranda,
Right.
and I'll give there's a slight funny like additional point to it that I will allow to be discussed. So for next
Allowed
week,
to be discussed.
I think they'll both definitely be palatable. I don't know if the schlockier movie will have a chance, but they will both be watchable. This is so I'm pitching. Raiders of the Lost Ark versus National Treasure.
Ooh,
That's a good one.
yeah.
That's a
But-
good one.
The side kind of point though is that my girlfriend pitched National Treasure, but in her brain she was thinking of the Da Vinci Code.
Oh, I'm glad she didn't find that, because
this is a much better combo.
National Treasure
Yeah.
is a way better comparison. That's a really good
Because
one.
we had to get some Nick Cage up in this.
Yeah.
So that's a classic. That's like considered one of the best adventure movies ever made. Versus, well, Nick Cage version kind of it.
Yeah.
So
I'm excited for that one. That's a good combo. That's a very good one.
I thought we would be pleased.
I had a very special connection with National Treasure growing up, so it'll be a delight to revisit it.
I saw it in theaters.
Yeah.
I don't
I
know
saw the
that I've
second
ever
one in theaters,
seen.
too.
I don't think I've seen either. Wait, there was a sequel
Yeah.
Oh yeah, baby.
to
That's
National
the thing.
Treasure?
And I really want to do this same episode again, but the sequel edition. I want to do Temple of Doom versus
Oh.
National Treasure 2.
Oh,
'cause
that'd be
then
tight.
then we'll see. That's gonna be tight.
Then we'll see. All right. Well, that's sweet. That's gonna be fun. I'm so desperate to get some Nick Cage in this podcast. So cool.
And this is some watchable Nick Cage. I mean, I say that having not seen it for 15 years.
Is there any other kind of Nick Cage besides a watchable Nick Cage?
Oh boy.
Wicker Man?
We'll find
he
it.
is exceptionally watchable in Wicker Man.
I guess so.
We'll find out. We'll put it to the test.
I'm gonna watch both those movies tonight. I think I'm excited. Okay, well, cool.
Shall we
Good.
Thanos trailer our way out?
All right.
I mean,
so,
we can try to. Jack, you want to explain what we do here?
Yeah, so this is just a fun thing we do at the end of the podcast. Feel free to think of these on your own after you watch a movie. They can be pretty fun. Essentially, it's an homage to all the Thanos teasers we saw for a number of years during the MCU, where in the post-credits scene, Thanos would show up and do something random to tease his appearance. So essentially, we take all the movies we watch and we imagine that they have a post-credit Thanos teaser building up to the MCU finale. So I have one that I want to jump in with for Olympus Has Fallen, because kind of hinting at the level of CGI in this movie, that for whatever reason I thought it was kind of funny that like post-credit scene, it's just like a shot. It does a quick, like maybe it sweeps really quick, like a camera zooms in like through the front doors, down the elevator, and like back to Kang's dead body, and he's lying there with his eyes open, and you see like a little flashing in his eyes, and like goes in, and then it pulls out, and it's like Thanos has been playing a video game on a TV, and it's like he's on a comically small chair, and the TV is also like very small. He's like leaning in, and he's like flashing like a game over thing,
Right.
and he's just like I think he's just
Crushing some Mountain Dew Code Red and some Doritos.
and he crushes his controller or something, and that's it.
That's really funny.
Short and simple, but that's why the CGI looks like a video game.
Perfect.
I get it. That's good.
Ha!
I could not think of one for this movie, but I had a general premise. I just have written down something about Thanos being so turned off by how violent this story is that he wants no part of it.
Yeah, mine is exactly that. It's the destruction fleet arriving, and he's come to cleanse 50% of life on Earth, and he takes a look down at what's going on, and he sees just like nuclear explosions and Gerard Butler head stabbings that are happening, and he goes, "No, I believe in subtlety," and then the invasion fleet flies off.
Yeah.
Let's give him 20 years.
Yeah. Something is so funny about Thanos of all people just being like, this is too fucked up even for me.
This is like death fetish stuff.
Yep, it is.
And then for President's Men, I simply just have Thanos' deep throat.
I had the same idea.
That's perfect. That's all you need.
And I pictured it in the dumbest way, which is that when he's in partial vision, it looks like a person, but then it's just him stepping back into more darkness, and it reveals the Thanos smile for some reason, and like a bit of a jaw, like somehow it like he looks less like a human in darkness.
There does have to also be a toupee removal, where he where he takes the hair off. Yeah,
man, I'd pay to watch Thanos smoke cigarettes.
I would just pay to have cigarettes right now.
It's fantastic.
It just makes me want to smoke so bad.
Yeah.
There's also, I think we all agree, to somehow Thanos' deep throat is funny. But
Yeah.
I also like the image. I don't even know what scene it would be. I like the image of him being one of those like 1970s secretaries, like typing at a front desk in like a floral dress. I don't think that even has to be a scene. I think it's literally just like the credits finish and then it's just like 15 seconds of like just no dialogue, Thanos with like cat eye glasses, like just typing.
And
like that's it.
And one of the other reporters from The Office walks by and gives him like a really inappropriate cat call. And he's just
Yeah.
like, ugh. And then
No, but he responds in that problematic way where he's like, stop. They're like, you're getting cuter every day.
Stop.
Stop. And then he goes, stop. Ting! And then it hits black, like on the typewriter.
Yeah.
That's perfect. I think that's a great note to go out on. And
Dan, if you could edit in some typewriter sounds over top of this podcast while we're talking the entire time, that would actually be great.
But just so you know, I'm going to set it like 2 tones too loud, so you won't actually be able to hear what we're saying. It's just going to give the listeners a headache.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Perfect. All right. Well, until next time.
Thanks everyone for listening. We'll see you next week on Citizen Kane Versus.
Jack, I think you should play us out, buddy.
Oh yeah. Citizen Kane Versus.
Nice.